Okay, this will be a video about somebody's comment and also a request for information. We'll do the request for information first, and I'll do the nasty comment. I'm a little depressed right now because about a block and a half away, way too high for me to reach, on a ledge on a building, there's a little baby squirrel crying for mama. And it's making all the noises that says that it's been missing from mama for less than 4 hours. They change the number of times they squeak and all that. After 24 hours, they stop squeaking for mama because they figure out mama's not going to come along. It means the clock's ticking, and I can't help it. So I'm a little bit aggravated. Also, someone essentially tried to pick a fight with me because they was wondering what I was doing looking up with a flashlight at part of a building. I can't fault them. But it's really depressing. And of course, I'm gut sick. 1934 National Firearms Act never made them illegal. California, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Washington, D.C. outlaw them. But 42 states allow, in some way, private ownership of suppressors, and some even allow it for hunting. Warning, suppressors don't really lower the volume level that much unless you're dealing with something subsonic. But anyway, all of the states still allow the requirement from the ATF. And that is a background check with an attached passport-style photo, fingerprint cards, and waiting 3 to 4 months after you fill out the forms I'm going to mention that require $200 tax no matter what. And they can still say no, and they'll usually refund the money, I think. And it's a background check questionnaire like application for paid tax transfer and registration of firearm to buy one from a company that's able to make them because they paid their taxes to become a registered maker. Or application to make and register a firearm. It's considered by itself a firearm. It's put in the jug with it to make your own. Or you can illegally skip all of this with an internet oil filter adapter silencer tutorial called a Tennessee silencer. There's 100 variations of this. Now, before you start squawking about how the laws are stupid or whatever, or how nobody has a good reason to have one of these things, you can watch YouTube videos of people firing ordinary guns, supersonic ammunition out of rifles and such. Does cause hearing damage. You have to wear hearing protection. Integral noise suppressors are built into some guns, just because they happen to be built that way. So some of them end up getting declared NFA items, and they just come with a $200 tax stamp, and you have to go through this whole process. Also, before you whine that, this is the worst place on earth, Mexico's gun laws are so strict because of all the crap that goes on that there's only one store legally available for you to buy any guns, and it's on a military base, and you have to go through just as much checks and balances. That's why people just buy them off the street. And in France, you can buy a suppressor at any time and put it on the gun. They don't assume that it's going to cause any problems. And there is a very good amount of information showing that having these available, sort of like having guns available, out of the literally nearly 750 million guns in the United States, the number of shootings is actually much lower than you might think. This is still a very violent country for other reasons, and it ebbs and flows. Look at the times when there's less shootings and what groups of people commit the crimes or are shot by criminals. And you find out it's usually associated with gang activity, economics, and general depression. The world is a sad place sometimes. And the fact that suppressors are not used by gang people most of the time, it's not worth it. If you fire a supersonic round, it will be heard. However, if silencers were used by Stephen Paddock in Las Vegas, it would have just made it even harder to figure out the shots are coming from the building. Not much more than that. And the only reason they knew about the noise in the building is because he shot into the hallway. If he hadn't shot into the hallway, he probably could have got away with this a lot easier. It would take him longer. So actually, I have to say this, Campos knocking on the door, trying to get around there, and just ending up making him mad, making him fire, did make things take pick a different term and make it to where it was less likely. And I'm going to take back every nasty thing I said about Campos. He was just doing his damn job. I worked a security job. I've checked all the doorknobs and the stairwells in a tall building filled with, computer equipment before, so. Then we get, no, brother, democracies are not good. They are the 51% telling the 49% where the bear shits in the buckwheat. And for the record, America was founded as a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Democracies are inherently evil. So you're saying this is not an inherently evil United States. Okay. I might actually look up constitutional republic if you want to, but the point is that we refer to the United States as a democracy. We refer to the style of running our society as a democracy, mostly. You can decide that based on representative government, but most of the people who post this don't look up the definition, so I'm going to include them below in the description for a constitutional republic and a pure democracy. Please understand that if you're a liberal, you're not necessarily a Democrat. If you're a conservative, you're not necessarily a Republican. A constitutional republic, people's republic, he says, all men are created equal, all men accountable to no one but themselves unless they cause harm to another. Laws are merely the demands of the political tyrants backed by the threat of force. No, they're fucking not. This is the outlaw scream that I hear every once in a while on YouTube. We have laws in the city of Portland, Oregon that we approve of. If we don't approve of them, we have the right to remove them. It's just that most of us are lazy about it because it just doesn't hurt us enough. The tyranny is from our laziness. Laws are not the demands of political tyrants backed by the threat of force. That's horseshit. And I'm going to use that as the title for the video. Directly underneath that, it will be the National Firearm Act not making silencers or suppressors illegal. Because it didn't. It just categorized them as firearm. Please understand that that same firearm categorization also allows you to have a pump-action shotgun that's pistol-gripped, and it's the Mossberg Shockwave, because it's over 26 inches long, and the whole thing is nothing but dedicated towards the functionality of a gun, and almost nothing left over. So you can put a buttstock on it if you want to, but at that point it becomes a real shotgun and can't convert it back. We have these little silly rules in place because we let lawyers interpret them. If we interpret them, we can overrule the lawyers and our representative government you're bitching about. All any of you have to do is get upset enough to do it. And calling it a constitutional guarantee for anything is just chicken shitting out of having to fix it. There's a constitutional amendment that says that this country will not allow the U.S. government and religion to mix. A lot of you hate that. I don't like that it's on the money. But it's not a big deal. It's just the money says, in God we trust. I don't care enough. But it's a violation of our constitutional law, if you want to call it a constitutional law. Separation of church and state is supposed to be a legal requirement, and we don't enforce it. Are you obsessed with the Constitution too, like everybody else, and then misread it? Or only read the parts you like? Sort of like everybody who reads whatever religion they like or hate, and only reads the parts that they can use for a fucking argument on the internet? I don't know. I'll leave the definitions below. We'll leave it up to all of you, because that's where it lies, with you.